So, as I mentioned in this meeting, we're going to be discussing the topic of how to moderate comments in Social Studio. I will tell you in advance that that you are going to likely see some foul language. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. People on the internet, they say things. So, I can't really stop you from experiencing the foul language. So if you feel like you need to not see it, then you can bail out now. Otherwise, we're gonna dive in. So these are all in Social Studio. Basically, everything's broken down to something called Workspaces. And for every team, basically, each team has a workspace. For those of you that do have Social Studio accounts, you've probably been added to the Dev Affairs DME and the DME Interns workspace. So you just kind of click on the workspace that you want to hop into, and it will open up for you. And this is the Department of Veterans Affairs workspace. It is a pretty busy one compared to most other workspaces across the VA. This is all social content that we have scheduled for the week so far. And, the week is only Tuesday, right? Like, if you want to see last week, it's pretty crazy. This is fairly busy. This is all the social content that we publish on our accounts. So that's that. But the comment moderation team, they generally work in the Engage tab. This is the Publish tab. You're going to want to go to the Engage tab. So you click on Engage in the top left of your screen there, and that will take you to what looks like a bunch of columns with social media content. Now, this is you can create little, I don't know what you call them, tabs. I mean, this is a tab. I call it a tab, but down here is also other tabs. You can call them screens. I don't know what you want to call them. But I usually create these, I created one for specifically VA social media. So this is pulling in a bunch of VA information, like posts by VA. But you can see some of this is actually comments from people following us as well, but mostly it's posts that come from VA. And I did this using source groups. If you want, you can set something up like this. Notice this one, VA Secretary. Every post in here every tweet in here is actually from the Secretary. So this is how we set it up. Like, if you want to follow a specific person inside of Social Studio, you can set up a engage column here, and you base it off of a topic group, and that topic group has to follow this particular person. Topic profile has to be based on a source group, which follows this particular person. That's all. That's for another lesson. It's kind of confusing. I'll be honest, it's a bit needlessly confusing. It's not how I would set it up, but that's how it works. So this particular screen is not so controversial, but if I was to go over to this moderation tab, you would find that it is a bit more controversial than the previous one. So yeah, right off the bat, boom, foul language. We getting A-bombs dropped over here and F-bombs. So a lot of this stuff is going to be hidden on Facebook automatically. We do have a comments policy. We don't ever delete anything from anybody. We don't delete any posts that anybody makes, but we do hide them. And so I do apologize for the language on this screen, but that's just how it is. So these comments, you see, the F-bombs message has been hidden. We have something running called it's called Social Studio Automate, and we put in rules specifically so that words that ought not be existing on our Facebook page, they don't. They just get hidden. So that doesn't mean that they don't that the person is not allowed to post them. They can post these things, but what does happen is that they are, the permissions or the viewing situation for them is changed such that only only the person who posted them can see the comments they posted. So we don't have like a bunch of F-bombs. Like, look at all this. This would be filling up all of our feeds. So if they use foul language and it's in our comments policy, then it's just going to be hidden, and that's just it. One thing that you'll want to do if you're as you're going through these comments, you'll see people that do things like add spam. Unfortunately, on Instagram, they don't let you we don't have an automated method to actually hide these things. So what I would need to do is go in and hide these manually. But at least when this thing is tagged with the spam tag, I know I can have a column for spam. This is actually called a label. I can have a column for spam, and then I could just kind of go over here. This is hide on Instagram, and this is hide in Social Studio. So I want to hide it on Instagram because I don't need that in my feed there. I don't need all my followers. Mr. Pineapple, I said communism 100% at the Democrats. Well, that has nothing to do with anything we posted. So I could just go through and hide these on Instagram, and then nobody has to be subjected to it. Let's see. Scroll a little further over here, and yeah, these are just comments. This is just a stream of posts and comments from our Instagram account, and this is just it looks like a stream from our Facebook page, and you can go through here. One thing that I think you'll probably need to talk to Atifa. They have the official list of all the different labels that we use. I believe spam is one of them. There's a label for like questions. And let's see if we can. Sorry for your service. That's weird. But you can actually add labels. So let's say I clicked on one of these. This is an individual comment from a person. They're commenting on a post that we published, probably a Veteran of the Day post. You can actually check on that by clicking the conversation tab over here. So every time you click on one of these posts, you get this little flyout menu from the right-hand side, and you can actually click into the conversation, and you'll see how this originated. Texas Veteran turns 100, gets a special parade, I guess. I didn't read the story, but now you can see Mary Sanchez says happy birthday and thank you for serving our country. God bless you and take care. But from here, if you wanted to, you can go over to info. You could add a label. So I don't know what label we would want to add. Is there a praise label? Praise. No, but you could create a new one. But I don't think we should. But if somebody's like angry, you could type angry. No, darn it. Anger? Do we have anger? Upset. Maybe upset. Man, I'm not doing so good. Complaint, I think it was. Was it complaint? Yes. All right, cool. Complaint. Care complaint, caregiver complaint, general complaint with comment, general complaint with criticism. So that is an example of sort of labels that have been used in the past. Did we get somebody else join the call? Darn it. Does anybody have any questions right now? Looks like we lost somebody, but we acquired somebody. Not, yeah. Armando?
Yeah.
Armando.
Hi.
Hey, what team are you on, Armando?
I'm with the web development team.
Oh, cool. We got a couple web developers join this call. So yeah, we were just covering how to do comment moderation in Social Studio. So I was just showing that a lot of the time moderation has to do with adding post labels. So if you were to add, if you found somebody who was obviously spamming, you can add or obviously saying something spam related, you can add the label spam, S-P-A-M, spam. And this one isn't spam, but if I'm not mistaken, by adding spam, that post would actually end up getting hidden by by the Automate tool. I muted you, Armando, because there was some background noise, and this is being recorded, so you know. You can unmute yourself, so it shouldn't be a problem. If you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask a question. But yeah, so I would, like I was saying, Mason, I would talk to your department head to see if there's an official list of the labels that you guys have been using. I don't know them off the top of my head, but this is where you would go and you kind of look through all these posts and replies, tweets and responses, and see like what comments need to be labeled. And a big part of it is spam, because there's people that are just comment like, oh, you see stuff like this, what does this mean? I have no idea. But you can like highlight it and copy it, go to Google, translate .google.com, maybe that's what it is, right? Paste it. Hello, how are you? Well, that's not so controversial, but sometimes they'll write something in a different language, and it'll be something inappropriate. So you can just you can do that. This one's fine, but you scroll through here, and often you'll see people that are like, "Hey, handsome, how would you like to go out on a date?" Or something stupid, and it's like, well, that's clearly spam. And if it is spam, then you should mark them as a spammer. And if it's somebody who does a lot of spam, that like they're spamming all the time, notice there's Chris Mason official, paying all card debts of first 10 to HMU today. I don't know what HMU means, but so this person, Mr. Pineapple, these are people that are spamming all the time. Notice they have this purple label next to them, and it has like a person icon. And that's because this is an author label. These people are constant, frequent spammers, and they, basically everything they post is spam. And this is not like we're not making that up. Trade with an easy, accessible manager, and then get the best when you set up an account under this platform. Yeah, let's just send me a ad request, Greg. So when you mark it as spam, this stuff will be hidden. Spam. Hello, handsome. How are you doing today? So when you put the author label spam on someone, they'll be marked as spam, and they'll be hidden. Their comments will be hidden in the future. So I will actually be reviewing these. So if somebody gets caught up in here and they shouldn't be, then I will remove that from them. But just know that if you find somebody who's spamming, you can add the spam label. And if they spam a lot, add the spam. So this is a spam regular label, post label, and this is a spam author label. And either one of those will get your stuff hidden, basically. So do we have any questions, Mason?
Yeah, Dom, I was wondering about the sentiment, like the smiley face and frowny face next to each. Would you say that every comment has to have one of those added to them?
Actually, those are you can adjust it. I believe every comment has a sentiment already, right? Because the system actually determines the sentiment of each comment by default. I thought it did. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought there was this one's neutral. But you can, I feel like you, by, adjusting the sentiment, you would be basically training the system. Like, because, different words could have different meanings, and like, I can't remember. I used to have a good example of that, but there's like ways that you say it, emphasis that you can put on things, or just different ways that you could say things to have a different meaning. and so one way might come out perfectly fine, whereas another way would be sarcastic or mean or unhappy. I don't know. Just like on Twitter, I remember there used to be this issue with people telling reporters that got fired to go learn the code, and they actually got people's Twitter accounts got canceled because of that. But then nowadays you have people telling people to go learn the code right now because they're out of jobs because of their business got shut down. So it's not necessarily mean now. You're just telling them they should go learn to code because you can do that from home. So anyway, there's different ways of saying something, and you could have different meanings, like an intention with where something that's perfectly fine, but it's actually kind of snarky and mean. So yeah, I feel like you could train the system a bit by adjusting this if you have permission. I'm not sure if you even have permission to adjust the sentiment on all of these. I do, but I'm not sure if I gave you access to do it. Did you find yourself having access to do that?
I think you can only request to change them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys were given access to modify the sentiment. Another thing that you can do, let's see, can you do other stuff? You can add notes. I feel like you can add, nope, you can't add people. You can add notes to stuff if you want. I don't know why you would, but but apparently you can. Can you assign this? This is where you can assign something. If something's like super important and you want to tag somebody on it at DOM. Yeah, so you can actually type somebody's name and assign it to them. Let's say you aren't sure if, and this is an example. One of the things that you guys should be on the lookout here for is if somebody is threatening to hurt themselves or take their life. And if that's the case, then that needs to be reported to the Veterans Crisis Line immediately. So, that, and if you don't know how to do that, then you should maybe, Tifa, like add her to the post, assign it to her, or whoever else is in your chain of command, so to speak. Or if nothing else, you can say Dom in here and talk to me, or you can just call me directly. I actually prefer you just give me a call or message me on Slack. If you ever see somebody threatening to hurt themselves or somebody else, immediately contact somebody, your department head, or another ELT, or myself, or anybody on the VA team, anybody who has a DME in front of their name in Slack, contact them. Or Mason, I called you earlier. You could call me, but immediately that needs to be reported so that we could get them, somebody to reach out to them to try to talk them down. Does that make sense? That should make sense.
Yeah, thanks, Dom.
That's kind of, yeah. Just so you know, I think in the past year, maybe a year and a half, the social media team has reported 40, I think it's 40 people to the Veteran Crisis Line. So you're going to come across it eventually, and there's a good possibility you could save somebody's life. So it's actually, very much needed thing that you're going to be working on. Now, just keep in mind that you're not like locked into just doing this. Like if you want to do other stuff, you're welcome to do so. And as I mentioned earlier, there is more than one workspace that you might be working in. So you might actually be in the DME Interns workspace. And I could see if you are. Let me check. There's 27 members in here. Mason. Yep, you're in here. You have no permissions. You have to talk to your department head to get permission to publish or engage. But so you have this workspace that you can work in as well, and you can do the same thing in here. I don't know if you guys are actually getting any responses or comments on your posts, but you can offer to assist in this workspace as well. I wonder, do you guys have anything coming in? Facebook. Actually, I'll do all of them. So this is kind of how you set up a column. You click on Add Column, and then you choose what social platforms that you want. See if you got any responses. Hey, this is Patriot Paw Service Dogs. Oh, sweet. They saw our post. Ha! Yeah, look at that. Building a following already. I didn't know that they saw that. But yeah, so you could hop in here and help engage. Maybe this could be a thing that you're doing as well. Maybe you can engage, respond to people if we ever start getting some well-deserved that. Thank you. So yeah, you can hop in this workspace and work in here as well. There's not a whole lot of comments that need moderation, but one of the problems that we run into is that we have a very small, especially at this point, like people have fallen off. They're leaving due to their school being over. They're leaving due to the maybe they lost their jobs, so they have to take on different jobs, or they have family crisis or something due to the COVID-19 situation. So right now we don't have a lot of people to work on this stuff, to create content and engage. So maybe you can, as we get more, because we just got a new influx of interns, so maybe this is something you guys can work on helping to build out content and engage with the public. So that's it for the most part. Do you have any other questions? Of course, the phone is great. Any questions?
No, that was really helpful. Thank you, Dom.
You're welcome. And like I said, talk to your department head or ELT. If a TIFA put somebody else in charge, kind of like told you, I would say look in that moderation channel and see who seems to be running the show. Because they probably have a list of labels that they've been applying to these posts. Because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, there was complaints, but there was also questions, because we were actually one of the things that we were trying to do is get the intern comment moderation team to look for people asking questions, and then route that to the Veterans Experience Office to get some answers for those questions. So it may be that we can get back to that now that we have some actual people on the team, because we started losing all of our people over time. So that might be another thing. So questions could be a label that you're using. Spam, obviously. But yeah, definitely get in there and ask. Threats. People, making threats, because that actually has to be reported to the police. So somebody's threatening to like shoot up a VA medical center or something. We want to report that out to somebody. So yeah, but yeah, definitely ask in the comment moderation channel what are, if there's a list of labels that we've been using, so that you can get that list and start using them and applying them to the comments on our posts.
Okay, awesome.
All right, well, Armand, I hope you got something out of this. Unless you have some questions, I'm going to go ahead and lock it down.
Okay.
All right, thank you.